The stunning game was played by Mina Jamal. What did the young genius create yesterday? Mohamed Salah's new club? Footage of the new presentation of the footballer has leaked online. Paris Saint-Germain is buying Vinicius Jr. and Jose Mourinho grabbed the nose of coach Galatasaray. He fell to the ground in terrible agony, and now a new punishment threatens the Portuguese. We're talking about this and much more today. Friends, this is a dose of football and the top 10 hottest news to this hour. Be sure to charge your royal likes. Let's collect 5,000 fingers up today and we will definitely see you tomorrow. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. The main league in terms of views around the world is the APL. The rest of the national championships do not compete. For showing English championship matches, it gets almost twice as much as La Liga, not to mention the Bundesliga and Serie A, let alone the more stale league. Although the Germans recently announced a new contract with television companies and for broadcasting matches within the country until the summer of 2019. And they got a raise. And in the other top leagues, not counting the APL, the trend is towards reducing payments. And it's all the fault of the English with their intense and bright football. The league that no one needs, without any intrigue, is getting hit the hardest. Despite the physical demands and pace of play similar to England, few people even within the country watch the French Championship. And in the end, the streaming service, which only recently signed a contract with the league, wants to terminate it, as reported. In February, the company delayed monthly payments for disputes with the Professional Football League of France. Withheld a 35 million to show dissatisfaction. The service is unhappy that the league does not allocate resources to fight piracy, and some clubs hardly participate in content creation. In a country with a population of 68 million people, only 500,000 were attracted, and the threshold necessary for sustainability is 1.5 million. Before the start of the season, the service made a plan according to which it was supposed to get more exclusive interviews with famous players and access to exclusive shooting locations. But streaming believes the league alone didn't permit him to do it. The championship proposed to fine or punish clubs that do not strive to fulfill their obligations to the media, but Dazen's approach was not appreciated. The company is now preparing to end the contract with the championship. Considering the summer image losses due to long negotiations and a frankly average contract, it threatens to simply bankrupt the league and half of its clubs. After all, finding a new service to broadcast matches will not be easy. Sergio Conceição came to Milan to save the club from the crisis, and even started well, winning the Super Cup with the team. But the brief change of a pumpkin into a carriage never occurred. Milan is as unstable as ever and incapable of consistently showing decent football. In Rossoneri, past greatness sometimes awakens, as they run, hustle, and successfully combine. But this is alternated with episodes of football that is dull to the point of absurdity, when neither the viewer, the coach, nor even the players understand what Milan wants to do. All signs point to Sergio Conceição being fired after this season, especially due to his poor relationship with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. According to the publication, yesterday the leaders of Diavolo met in London with Fabio Paratici, probably with the new sports director of the club. It is Paratici who will be choosing a new coach for the team. And he has a clear favorite, Roberto De Zerbi, who is currently leading Marseille, and everything seems to be going smoothly with him. Paratici is confident he can bring the Italian easily, as De Zerbi dislikes working in France, and a move for the coach is expected in the summer. Roberto has been on Milan's radar for a long time, however. Another candidate was discussed at the meeting of the club bosses and Paratici. Pep Guardiola himself, don't be surprised. Pep follows Serie A and is fascinated by it. In a year or two, possibly even after this season, he might leave Manchester City. Thirdly, Paratici's great relationship with Pep gives him a strong chance to lure the coach. I don't understand Milan's bosses. They hire a systematic coach like Paulo Fonseca, but don't give him enough time. Then they call someone completely different, Postelu Conceição. Now again, a systematic coach with possession and pressing is needed. Guys, well, maybe it's time to decide what kind of project you want to build. But at least there is certainty that a top coach will come to the team in the summer, regardless of whether an agreement is reached with Guardiola. Alexander Chiferin quarreled with the nearest union member of WUFA, the head of the football department, Zvonimir Baban. Or decide with Baban yourself. The thing is that Chiferin asked to reset his first term at the helm of the organization when he worked instead of the dismissed Plotini, which will ultimately allow him to advance one more time. Boban claimed that this is unfair, and Chiferin wants to establish his dictatorship. And in protest, Zvonimir left Union of European Football Associations. Chiferin in response called Boban's words a pathetic cry about morality and narcissistic whining, and then stated that he is tired of football and does not intend to run for another term. Then why did he nullify his first move to the position? The question is rhetorical. I would assume that Alexander might get upset when his union members in the United Firefighters Association start asking him to stay, after which he can no longer be seen as a tyrant who doesn't want to give up his place, but almost as a martyr. I wanted to rest, but I had to save football. Everything is leading to this. About half of the United Firefighters Association member countries have called for Chiferin to run again for the next term. The president of the German Football Association, Bernd Neydorf, spoke out with words of public support for Chiferin, calling the head of Union of European Football Associations a smart and reliable person who clearly represents the current football problems. As the tabloid reports, massive support will soon make Chiferin change his previous decision and run for another term. But such a holy man doesn't think about himself at all about football, yes, about football. Real Madrid is conceding a lot this season due to a failure in the center of the field. Partly, this is due to the fact that Fede Valverde has to play somewhere else, partly due to the weak play of Eduardo Camavinga and Reele Tchouameni. In the summer, the club plans to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold, which will allow Valverde to focus on his duties in the center of the field. But the club still wants to buy a reliable midfielder, capable of both supporting ball circulation and ensuring recovery in case of losses. Apparently, Florentino Perez doesn't have much faith in Dani Ceballos, who has unexpectedly played a lot this season and often replaced Toni Kroos. According to AS Real, is doing everything possible to negotiate with Sevilla for Martin. In Subimendi Slovak, they've already planned the transfer of the defender, but he risks being covered with a copper basin because of Arsenal. Kushkari told the Basques that they will pay the arrears for Subimendi in the amount of 60 million euros in the summer. The universal defender is as wide profile as can be. It's not surprising that Arsenal is ready to spend such money, and Liverpool also agreed last summer. There are almost no such players on the market, so Madrid will have to sweat a lot to sign the footballer. The Reds have an alternative in the form of Enzo Fernandez. Let the Argentine be more charged with creativity at the opponent's gates than with running at his own. As the portal notes, here Real has another competitor, Atletico Madrid, as if following all the talented Argentines, and Ence is no exception here. However, I'm afraid Chelsea will throw a tidy sum of millions of euros for him. And if Real can still afford such a transfer, then the mattress makers are unlikely to take such a risk, especially since they have clearly spent a lot. Last summer, another loud scandal in La Liga, and again Barcelona is to blame for everything. It became known the other day that the auditor of Barca has not yet approved the inclusion of 100 million euros from the sale of places at A. Without this, the club may have problems with transfers and contract extensions. It was precisely because of this deal that the Blaugranites were able to declare Dan Olmo and Pau Victor for the second half of the season, despite protests from La Liga. And now the championship has publicly stated that Barca has no grounds for player registration. La Liga has lowered the salary limit for Barcelona based on new information. The league is preparing a complaint to stop Barca from fielding Dani Pau. In Barcelona, journalist Jose Alvarez reported they reacted calmly to La Liga's statement. They saw it as merely an effort to appease other clubs about the potential cancellation of Olmo's registration. Nevertheless, Joan Laporta stated they can't beat Barcelona on the field, so they want to do it in the offices. Such disputes do not arise by chance. We consider this statement as another attempt to damage the club's image and go against Barcelona's interests. However, the fact remains that Barca is threatened to be left without Victor and Olmo right in the middle of the season. In Dani's case, Holbeck will have the chance to depart the club as a free agent. And it doesn't seem like La Liga is joking. After all, it has publicly stated that the registration of footballers is illegal. Ryan Cherki from Lyon has attracted interest from top clubs for over a year, with Zidane even saying he would suit Real Madrid's squad. Ryan is a highly creative player. The more freedom you give him, the more he opens up. Formerly a winger, but his intellect allows him to also play in the roles of a 10 and even a false 9. Although his main quality is, of course, technique, a purely Brazilian ability to sneak into the narrowest corridors, it's unclear where it came from in the French guy. Manchester United are looking for a footballer who will provide creativity up front, and they are hoping for Bruno Fernandes. And now, as Football reports, the Red Devils have planned the transfer of Cherki, one of the leaders in assists in the top leagues. Garnacho is too straightforward and focused on scoring. Christensen will leave. After this season, Mount hardly ever gets out of the laser tag of Kobe Main. They might sell. Josh Zirkzee is far from optimal conditions. In general, Manchester United really needs another player who can come up with threats to the opponent's gates, who is not afraid to pass the ball to partners. But Manchester United still has a tough fight for the footballer. After all, Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain are also claiming him. Parisians, however, would have preferred to sign Vinicius instead of Cherki. According to Todd Fichahies, the Princes intend to take advantage of Vinicius and Madrid's disagreements in the negotiations for a new contract. Vinicius Huicha Dembele Barcalia Due. I would like to ask, why does Luis Enrique need so many wingers? But this season, he uses them as forwards and as tens, so there seems to be enough game practice for everyone. Nothing. In the Milan derby, Nerazzurri and Rossoneri parted with a score of 1-1. In the Italian Cup's first semi-final, Inter hasn't beaten Milan in a year, with 2 draws and 2 losses in their last 4 derbies. Under Stefano Pioli, things were completely different. The match interested Vincent Kompany and Mehdi Benatia. The Bayern coach, naturally, flew in to study the opponent before the trip to the Champions League and at the same time to look at Malik Thiaw, who is of interest to Munich. Marseille's sports director lured scout Ali Zaraka. They were also scouting someone. Inter, possibly the strongest team in the world in the first times of pressing, combination, speed, they have everything to win. It's a pity that due to the age of their players, the Snakes are almost always worse in the second half. Surprisingly, the game against Milan unfolded differently. Inter performed poorly in the first half, but regrouped in the second. I liked the moment when Simone Inzaghi was preventing Theo Hernandez from returning to the field, Hakan Çalhanoğlu scored against his former team and celebrated passionately, but Inter never caught up with Milan. In the end, everything will be decided in the second match. At the same time, the Merseyside derby was going on, and there we saw Liverpool's victory. With a tight 1-0 score, Liverpool dominated most of the match. And if referee Sam Barrett wasn't afraid to change the sanctions to Everton's corners, then the Reds would have simply smeared and scored. Well, you be the judge. How could you not show a red card in such an episode? This is just one of many controversial decisions made by the referees. More will follow. Once again, the referee interferes with the Merseyside Sky Derby, ruining the match. They seem to have such a fetish over there. If it weren't for Jota's brilliant goal, the Reds might have had to settle for a draw. But the Portuguese twisted all of Everton's defenders after a pass from Luis Diaz and created a beauty. You can appreciate it on our Telegram channel. There will be a review of both derbies. Find all the hot matches in the link provided in the description and pinned comment. Subscribe for the best experience. We already have almost 50,000. Lamine Yamal made a difference on the field again. His incredible vision and sense of space pulled Barcelona into the final of the Spanish Cup. However, this game was very tough, including for the young genius of the Catalans. And in general, any trip against Atletico turns into suffering under Flick's substitutes. As expected, this match was no different due to Simeone's initial strategy and his team's playing style. Atletico simply devoured all the space around their gates. It turns out that entering the penalty area is not so simple when 10 defenders meet you in a compact low block. This is a real hell for any attacking player. But there's this feeling that all these classic defensive ideas simply don't work. With Lamine Yamal, his unconventional actions are unpredictable. Madrid's defense didn't know how to stop this monster, this 17-year-old monster. At the beginning of the match, Yamal was the only player on the field from whom danger emanated, both from the side of Barcelona and from the side of Atletico. The kid was just making a mockery of his opponent, and one of his maneuvers led to a scored goal. What can Madrid's defense do when a 17-year-old boy sees how to pass a ball that can easily go through all the players and sees a partner in a striking position? Lamine, with a subtle move, destroyed the entire mass defense of Atletico, and Ferran took advantage of his gift and scored the ball. We didn't see more goals, but Barcelona didn't need more. The Catalans reached the final thanks to their right-winger's mastery. They'll face Real Madrid. And that means we're in for another El Clásico this season, the third one to be exact. And now the main question. Can Lamine Yamal again demonstrate his magic and lead Barcelona to their first serious trophy? Or will Kylian Mbappe win his debut Spanish title? We'll find out the answer very soon. Mohamed Salah, they've sent him everywhere, to Barcelona, Paris, Saint-Germain, Inter, Al Hilal, but for now, Salah is in Liverpool. But let's be honest, he has hinted more than once that this season will be his last. In the Football Scout's notebook, Mohamed has been in stunning form. And honestly, I never understood why the club's management took so long with the new contract. Well, of course, I understood it was all about money, but it seems like he's worth that money. Considering Salah's care for his health, including strict diet and recovery procedures, it's not worth worrying that Mohamed will fail next year. Gradually, his form will get worse. But after such a performance as in this game, they don't suddenly become useless pensioners. Perhaps if Trent Alexander-Arnold hadn't agreed with Real Madrid, Salah would have left Liverpool. But Trent's departure made the Merseyside bosses act more actively. And now there are frames on the network where the club is filming a video to announce the extension of the contract with Salah. The Food Mercato publication writes about this. Salah and the club have agreed, and soon they will officially announce a 2-year contract. We are waiting impatiently. At least Liverpool won't need to fully rebuild their attack this summer. And most importantly, the team's leader stays, who has gained leadership qualities over time. If only they could come to an agreement with Van Dijk. Then you won't have to worry about the atmosphere in the locker room, as well as discipline during training and during matches. Overall, I'm pleased with the news. And there's something to add to the headline. Officially a new club for Mohamed Salah, although there's a slight nuance. Jack Grealish hadn't scored in the PLH since December 16th, 2023, but yesterday he roared like thunder. Jack finally came out not on the wing but in the role of a 10, getting the necessary freedom. He immediately rewarded Guardiola's kindness by scoring against Leicester in the second minute, and Mormosh added another goal. And there's City's victory. Did you feel the absence of the injured Erling Haaland, who was out almost until the end of the season? More likely yes than no. City was constantly creating moments at Leicester's goal, but the finish was blatantly lacking. This can be detrimental when playing against top teams. But Grealish thrived, blossoming in the number 10 role. A sequence of unconventional moves and clever passes. He outplayed a few Leicester players. A completely different player than when he comes out on the flanks. But the role in the center of the field is unlikely to shine for Jack in the long term, due to strong competitors. Why is it better for Grealish to leave his current team, where his merits are valued, to join one where winger is stronger than Doku? Mark Assenti ran from Luis Enrique to Aston Villa. He plays the half-back as a 10, and Assenti keeps scoring goals. Yesterday, he delivered a clean assist against Brighton. Alongside him, Marcus Rashford shone, scoring a goal following a counter-attack. I remind you that Villa took both on loan, but with such a game, they will definitely buy them out. Parisians and Red Devils would be thrilled to acquire them. This duo is simply unstoppable. Recently acquired Daniel Malin also scored yesterday. Overall, Birmingham had a successful winter transfer window. In the Turkish Championship, Fenerbahce, led by Jose Mourinho, was defeated by Galatasaray due to Victor Osimhen scoring twice. And he went crazy after the match, grabbed the opponent's coach Akan Buruk by the nose, who fell on the lawn and writhed in pain for a few seconds. Should we say that Jose is again facing a long disqualification? And that's all for today. Thanks for watching and subscribing to the channel. I'm Kirill Kast. This was your daily dose of football. Peace to your house and to your hunger friends.